Welcome back to Sci-Fi Chronicles, everybody. And I'm here with my good friend, Gary, Retro Doc. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm doing very well today, John. Yourself?
Oh, very well, my friend. And we're straight into it, mate. Episode 6. Can you believe we've got to episode 6 of Star Trek Academy? Was it only 4 to go now? 4 to go after this?
Yeah. Well, what was it? I heard they said the good news is this season is half over. The bad news is this season is only half over.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. After this, Gary is allowed a long break so he can recover.
No, I actually think that this is going to be I think this will be a very interesting conversation between the two of us. For this episode.
So let's get straight into it then, mate. I'm gonna show you images as we go. Okay. So
folks, what that means, that's code for I tried to pick pictures that I know is going to trigger you. And I hope it has the desired effect. That's what he means by that.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's my Bond villain strategy, mate. It really is.
The only difference is he doesn't have a white cat in his lap that he's petting. That's the only difference here.
So this episode, begins, and I'm going to go straight into it, mate.
Okay.
Instantly, we have the annoying 21st century music playing while they're doing their Pookie Bear loving moments, and it is insufferable. And it's
what was that song, by the way? I mean, thank the merciful Lord in heaven above. I have no idea what that song was, so I don't know if it was a popular one or an old one or a new one or whatever.
I'm just going to change it to some hate metal or something like that at some point, just to get it working.
But I was looking at. I just have to say, I'll stop interrupting. I did watch this as I do with all these, with the subtitles on, because some of the characters don't speak intelligibly to me, and some of them speak too fast. And I was reading the lyrics though of this song, and it was like, oh, your sexy body, this, that, and the other thing. And I was sitting there going, oh, well, that's new for Star Trek. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so we have this, right? And we have the whole cuddling together on a park bench at San Francisco Bay. We have all of that. But also on top of it, mate, while she suddenly, she mind links with him. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we then have the mind link where I got to be honest, when I saw this on the episode, I had to do a double take because I thought they were being attacked by an army of tribbles. When I first saw it, I was like, blimey, they're going all in with the tribbles this season, aren't they?
Yeah, honestly, I thought, wow, who would build that like out in the middle of nowhere? I thought, boy, that's isolated. You don't have to worry about neighbors playing their music too loud, at night, because there's nobody for like dozens of miles around.
And I have to say, when they're looking at the field and then his nightmares from his childhood start manifesting, they start coming
his
through
mommy
in the flowers. I thought it would have been better instead of that little toy robot bear that you see coming through the flowers, if it is just Captain Nahla's face appearing and coming through and going, is anybody listening?
Or
that would break them.
Or what about the Jem'Hadar face going, cadets, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're being kind of conservative so far, that you skipped a lot of the scenes with the bare backs and the side.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the side, all over the place, and
yeah, exactly. And I thought, oh, okay. So we also get the bit which I'm glad that they actually did this. I'm glad they actually called it out, where Caleb actually calls her out for invading his mind without permission, because she does. She takes him there, and then she starts burrowing into his mind.
But was that? Did you get that was accidental though?
I think it was accidental, but she could have switched it off. I think initially it's accidental where it's burrowing through, like in the flowers here. But then I think she could have turned it off.
So let's
and she kept
help
burrowing.
clarify this for me. We probably should, because so much of the episode rides on this. What exactly, because I know that they mentioned it a few episodes back.
Yeah.
She did. The control in her neck.
Yep.
Up until this point, we thought, okay, that basically like blankets her. It doesn't blanket all of her empathic abilities.
Dials it down.
Okay.
So it doesn't spike and go over into the red, essentially. But
was it going over? Did it remind me? Did it go over into the red? It
did, because when they were getting it on, it must have been like a hormonal thing that it suddenly spiked red. Then you get to this bit.
But at that point, she doesn't have control, right? When it goes red.
When it goes red, she doesn't have control.
Okay.
So again, it's one of those things where I think they were right to call it out. But the thing I will say, I do get so fed up, and this happens in a lot of shows now, where they have the argument and they storm out not talking to each other. You know, you'd have an argument, but you'd resolve that pretty quickly, wouldn't you?
Have you? John just revealed that he's never watched a single teen episode of anything in his life, then, because that's a weekly occurrence.
Yeah. You know? I have now, mate. I have now.
You know, you've got to have the explosion of emotion and then the storming out and either the I didn't really mean it or I'm sorry, all of that though. But I will say that at first at the beginning, I thought, well, this is really going along kind of a long time. I mean, obviously it does have relevance later on in the episode. I get it. But did your problems with this scene come because of its length, or just because it seemed like not to relate to anything? It
didn't take me out of the episode. Like last week, there were so many bits that took me out of the episode, but I will be fair on this one. It didn't take me out, but I will say I think they could have shortened the scenes.
Yeah.
Really, you know, because we both know what they were doing. They were doing the setup for the payoff at the end of the episode, which I get, which is fine. I'm not going to criticize them for that, but it just went on a little too long. Now,
Did it seem to you, my one last question then, I promise, will be, did you think at any point that the director was kind of skating as close to the line as he can with how on the angle of some of those shots?
Oh yeah.
I thought this guy is not like, you know, if they said your limit is 10, he doesn't say, okay, I'll play conservative and stick to 8. He's like, I'm going to go up to 9.99 then on some of these shots.
There's side boob with no nipple.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, you know, all you needed was the nipple to put it over to 11. But other than that, it was fine. But we then get to a bit where we get the exterior effects shot here of the Athena coming into this star system. Okay. Captain Nahla again with some more words of wisdom as we've had before, mate, you know, because I don't know if you know, mate, but she's a philosopher. She really is. So she says, there was a time when Starfleet could travel through Federation territory without a second thought. Today, the galaxy is a hell of a lot more complicated. As future Starfleet officers, you'll encounter challenges your predecessors never had to imagine, let alone face. It's our job to prepare you for the unimaginable. Now, a couple of things on that. Her predecessors that she talks about, they encountered the Borg. They encountered the Klingons, the Romulans, species 8472. I have not seen in this series so far or in Discovery any species that rivals any of them. I don't know about you, mate.
Yeah, she's preparing them for, the Packleds or something like that, or a ticked off Tribble, something like that. If I was if I was one of the cadets, I would want to raise my hand and go, Captain, you
Yeah.
you gave us this talk we're already done, we're almost done with the first year. You gave us this talk on day one.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you telling us things we all already know?
It's like you sound like a broken record, Captain Nahla. We've not really learned anything from you. You're preparing us for the future, but all we've been able to learn so far is to walk around the academy without any shoes on. With training like that, we're in big trouble. But can I ask a question?
I would want to say, is this still the past that's going to make up our present? Or are you now talking about the future now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she says as well, when she says that, like, I thought to myself, what is she talking about? The unimaginable dangers? Because is she referring back to the burn again? I can only assume she is. But again, they're now supplying, as we is confirmed in this episode, they're now supplying dilithium to other sectors, other quadrants and star systems. So there's not that threat. But also, I'm going to ask you, mate, if you're going to take cadets on a training exercise, okay, on a ship that everyone died on it 137 years ago, I mean, call me not the greatest tactical strategist, but I would be tractoring it back to a star system that had a star base and proper defensive facilities there.
At what
not
point?
Going,
At what point? You mean?
Like now for training, like training exercises for the academy. Why would you take them to a strategically dangerous sector of space, as she's just confirming, to teach them the training when they've got tractor beams? We know that from previous eras of Star Trek, so they could tow that ship back easily.
Exactly.
It
especially
makes
since
sense.
Especially since the base that the Sargasso was at, who would have been their nearest backup, was what, like an hour away?
Yeah, it's like, what is it they say? A light year.
Yeah, that's irresponsibility personified. But I guess, Captain Nahla has notched herself a little piece of history now, because the history books will record that the two Starfleet captains that you do not want to send cadets on a training mission on, Captain Kirk or Admiral Kirk and Captain Nahla.
Captain Nahla, I mean, dear me, I'd follow Kirk in, but I wouldn't follow this woman anywhere.
Now, again, let me ask you, do you think, how hard would it have been? I'd like to think that a very logical question like you just posed would have been asked somewhere in the writer's room, but John, who are we kidding?
Yeah.
That they could have then come up with one line of dialogue which could have justified why they weren't doing precisely that.
Yeah. It staggers me how they get through it. It really does. I would also say as well about this episode, Caleb, there's some scenes for Caleb that we will come on to where he's almost perfect again, but he can't do any wrong, and he knows everything, and he's got an issue with the Federation, and we will come on to that. Now, I would say to you, mate, I've looked at the ship graveyard, okay, and I will give them credit for this mission. They've finally done what they should have done earlier on in this series, and that's actually get the two different campuses to work together.
Yes.
The War College and the Academy Cadets, because that's the whole point, isn't it? About integration.
Yes.
Now,
can I really quickly, this, I know this, you have the picture of the graveyard ships up. Is this intended to be a nebula, or are those supposed to be clouds?
Well, they don't confirm. I mean, again, I'm assuming it's a nebula,
because there's no clouds in space. But I'm not sure they'd know that.
But I checked. I put subtitles on. They don't clarify that at all. It's just this is where the War College would do their training exercises for extraction, and there's a we then go into this bit where they talk about the USS Miyazaki, and they said, what was it, 137 years ago, it was an experimental warp alternative called a singularity drive. Okay. Now, the Romulans, I believe, they use quantum singularity, not dilithium. So again, that tech has been around for over 1,000 years, 900 years to 1,000 years.
What was the name of the episode with
where the next gen, where they
Ro and Geordi are
the next phase.
Next phase, yeah, okay,
yeah. And there's also the one where, you know, you've got the aliens that they've nested their babies inside of the quantum Romulan's quantum drive, and it's basically stopped time, and they've got, you know, Picard and co turn up in the shuttlecraft. So they've established that. So, but then I find it very bizarre that a ship where 137 people, sorry, not 137, an entire crew died, you're then still going to use it as a training exercise. It's very peculiar. And again, even then they would have had some sort of tech to at least get to here, because this doesn't sound like it's overly far away, but there's some tactical issues with the Admiral that I'll come on to later, and I want to get your point of view on that.
Why are they even, you know, I wasn't thinking about that, but okay, so all the crew died, right?
Yep.
So at some point you have to assume that somebody came to retrieve the bodies.
Yeah. Well, again,
so they retrieved all the bodies and left the ship, as opposed to, as you said, towing all of these hulks back in, then retrieving the bodies, allowing them for their disposal, burial, whatever, and then you have the ship there. Because otherwise, I'm not really sure. Maybe there's a military reason why you would retrieve all the bodies and just leave the ship.
Well, again, if it was too dangerous, why would you be having cadets to go aboard it for training exercises? But for me, they make it clear that it was testing an experimental singularity drive. So they went, oh, hang on, let's just leave it there. This is classified tech that we're working on. We won't take it back to the nearest starbase. We'll actually just leave it out in the open so anybody can get hold of it. So
this wasn't the first time, because the War College had been using this because they'd already gone over there and accessed stuff before, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I have to say, Lieutenant Tomov, who's going on the away mission from the War College, he is the 31st century redcoat, because the second I saw him, I was like, yeah, this guy's dying. He's a goner. He is a goner, this guy, you know, no doubt. It's happening.
No, you know what? When I knew that he was going to be dead, and they do this, this is such a cliche in movies and stuff. The guy who's, you know, just X days shy of retirement, or who's just decided they're going to do something great with their life, you know, they're going. So the minute he says, oh, you know, I'm about to go on, I'm about to take my well-deserved extended shore leave. It's like, R.I.P., dude, you shouldn't have said that.
So we get, okay, I'm gonna mention it here as well. We get where they're in the turbo lift. They're about to go to the shuttle to head off to the Miyazaki. So you've got the Vulcan in there that brings up about the Tales from the Frontier comic book.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, mate. When we see it later on, and I'll show an image later, I bet you any money IDW are going to release that some point in the near future, because you know, it did look good, but again, I've got questions for you when we see it later, which I'm sure you've noticed.
Based on the pages of the comic that Sam was scanning through, it's like, no, these panels are way too big, and there's not enough dialogue in the thing. But it's like, no, and they will, you know. And look, I trust IDW to do it. IDW, I think, been putting out a lot of good stuff. But you're right, this is a marketing tie-in that they can't resist.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see that happening, but So we get to this bit where the Vulcan is basically talking about the comic book. Now Caleb, then, as they're walking along the corridor, mate, he says, Federation propaganda, feel good, colonizing bullshit to brainwash poor kids into fighting the good fight for Big Brother Starfleet. Why the hell are you in Starfleet then? I know she got you out of prison, but you can leave at any moment, you know?
This actually was a very appropriate, totally unplanned on their part. This actually was the perfect episode then to show this week, since we have American athletes participating in the Olympics going out and bad mouthing the country they're supposed to be representing. Why are you then taking somebody else's spot to go out and participate in an Olympics for a country that you're going out and bad mouthing? It's the same 100%. Thing. So basically, this couldn't have aired at a more appropriate week for that.
Absolutely. And again, I heard that and I was like, for crying out loud, this guy is so, it just makes no sense. If you hate it so much, why are you not leaving Starfleet? Crazy, absolutely crazy. And then we get to the motherload, mate. So, and this is something I'm going to mention to you. We get Caleb on board the Miyazaki. He is bringing back life support in record time because nobody's ever done it as quick as Caleb, but with programmable matter again, which it seems to me, you know, the officer Tomov, I believe his name was, he basically says to him, well, the Vulcan says, is programmable matter permitted? And Tomov says, it's not forbidden. Cadet Mir has done his homework.
You know what? Honestly, I was okay with that. I mean, at least I'm actually surprised, that the writers would actually go to the trouble of filling in a potential plot hole like that. It fits with Caleb's character because he's the one that would play fast and loose if he thought he could get away with it. And I ask you okay with that?
Yeah, can I ask a question? This is my problem with it. Sam is a hologram. We see her a few scenes later where she can access the computer on the bridge in record time, and she can rebuild a computer system that's fragmented in record time. Why is Sam not the one that is bringing on life support? She would do it even quicker, surely. So,
because every episode,
it's got to be Caleb.
We have to see some new thing that Caleb is excellent at. Every week is like a new ability that we have to see.
He is better than Picard, Kirk, Spock, Cisco, Archer, all rolled into one. He is the ultimate Starfleet officer. You know, songs will be sung of him without a doubt.
If they would have fired Caleb instead of the photon torpedoes at the ships at the end, he could have infiltrated the ship and defeated them all in about 10 seconds. He's that good.
Can I also ask you, mate, this Miyazaki ship, why do the corridors look like they're going inside a human being's colon? They look very peculiar. They look like a human colon if you check them out, you know. Trust me. Don't ask me how I know that, mate, but they do. Okay. So
do you think, really quickly, by the way, do you think that the ship was named for the Hayao Miyazaki, the amazing animator? Yeah, me too. That'd be
I think so. I really do. And I think Annoying Jem'Hadar Klingon Hybrid is back this week, talking about her favorite drink when she wins a bet. But thankfully, I am going to be positive here. I'm going to say they did tone her down quite a lot. We only got bastard out of her, or bastards. I think that was one thing later on in the episode. Other than that, she was quite toned down. So
but see, isn't that like, instead of her saying bastards, why can't she just use like a Klingon term?
Well, again,
you know what I
like,
mean? She's Klingon. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not doing anything with her Klingon side.
Well, it's like when I read up about, you know, the remake of Battlestar Galactica, and they used it in the 70s as well. In the 70s, they brought in frack, you know, because they wanted a language, a swear word that worked in their time, but also would get past the sensors, network sensors. Here, why aren't, like you say, that why aren't they coming up with just a word that sounds
They could have
Klingon?
said she could have said a patak, which we know is a Klingon insult. Why not? I mean, they're relying on just the cosmetic look. Oh, she's a Jem'Hadar. Yeah, and they're letting the Klingon side of her just be you know, like a nod, a member bearing nod. Yeah, you know, they don't do anything with it.
No, not at all. And again, we then get to a point, and we'll bring it up as well. We get to this wonderful situation, mate. I am pleased to announce that
I know what this
Combat eating girl is back again. I mean, honestly, she must have bribed her way into the academy at this point. There is no way, even if you lower the bar, that this person should be in the academy.
Yes, this look. I
clean up on aisle 4.
I defy anybody to justify why, even though she skated by up to this point, after this mission, I would think after this mission, she'd take herself out of the academy.
100%.
If she has if she has a shred of self-awareness,
yeah,
she will take herself out of the academy.
Yeah,
because look, I know at the end of the day, it was you know, the whole thing went sideways, but every single one of these cadets who were on that mission is going to get an after action report.
Yeah,
every single one, in terms of a performance review.
Well, this
Genesis is going to come out looking like the star of the class, as she should. The other guy, the blue guy, was really only there to go, yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one, yeah, she should be, you know, the Jem'Hadar lady should say, have you ever considered a job in maintenance? You know, or maybe, you know what, our academy, our lovely academy, you know, we have an opening for a groundskeeper.
Yeah.
You know, and you can carry on the fine tradition,
eat badges as much as you want.
A boothby.
Yeah.
You know, you can make your own gardens, you know, your own flower arrangements, whatever. We really think that that's something that you're more emotionally suited for.
No, 100%, mate. And again, I've been, you know, I'm currently watching Voyager again at the moment, and I've finished season 1 of Voyager, but I think it's like the penultimate episode. But it's one where they decide that they need to train some of the marquee that haven't kicked in with Voyager yet and integrated about, you know, academy training. So Tuvok trains them, and you see the discipline and the curriculum that he set for them to become academy, effectively cadets, and to qualify. But then you've also got, you know, we've got Next Gen. My big example is always Wrath of Khan, because yes, in Wrath of Khan, you do see the cadets fleeing and trying to rush up the ladder when they get attacked by Khan. But a lot of them do stay at their posts, you know, but you don't see this sort of nonsense where it's just, you know,
and John,
he did.
You'll probably agree with me. We can hear the defenses now, whether it's on other podcasts or Facebook posts. Well, Starfleet Academy is all about, nobody really knows anything when they start, and it's all about growing into your best self. And so it's totally understandable that she would be absolutely unqualified now. We just need to give her a little bit of time. She might turn out to be the best ever. We can hear it now. It's going to be, it's as predictable as it is nauseating. It's like, look, it is, I would say you're right. The academy is about finding what you're capable of, but it's also discovering what you're not capable of.
Yeah. and coming out of it at the end as being a competent officer. That's what you're meant to do. I mean, imagine you're going across to the Miyazaki and basically you suddenly find out that this person is monitoring you and she is there to help pull you back in case of an emergency. I'd be like, nope, not going.
All right. During the scene, I have to go back to watch it. And I have to say, this is the only of the 6 so far. This is the only one that I would consider rewatching. Even before I think that they got attacked, because I wrote it down. She said, my note to myself is, comm badge girl panics in about 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because the minute I think they lose contact, she says,
they see the body, don't they? They see the body outside.
And she says, oh, I don't have, there's no sensors and comms. But that's not what she says. And I wrote it down specifically. She says, I get no sensors. She's like, I get no sensors and comms.
Yeah.
4 eyes in my notes.
Yeah.
Because it's like nothing even deadly has happened yet. It's just like you can't get sensors, and she's already freaking out.
She already
is. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, well, sometimes, you
see what the officers do though with her, because they've clearly had enough as well, because they go, just take her to sick bay, and they're probably quietly whispering into the ears, just medicate her or put her in a coma.
That made sense to me. You don't want her on the bridge because A, she's gonna melt down even further. B, she actually might need some medical attention, and she would be at that point nothing but a distraction.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And again, now you mentioned it, mate, about the fact that we get the Furies. I keep wanting to say furries at this point, but yeah, it's Furies.
Don't inject your wish fulfillment into our discussion, John.
Now in this show, they are cannibals, and straight away I thought to myself, they have stolen something again. They have literally ripped off the Reavers from Firefly.
Yep.
100%. That's what they've done, because they even mentioned that they're from almost like a dark area of the quadrant or something like that. So again, there's always something
a rip-off, John. It's an homage.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna note this about what they say. Okay, right. The Fury says to Captain Nahla, I'm gonna read what is said between the two.
Okay.
On screen. So the Fury says, "We are hungry, Nahla Ake." And Captain Nahla responds with, "I would like to resolve the matter immediately to our mutual satisfaction." And then the Fury responds with, "Latinum, 30,000 bars." Hang on a minute. You've just said you're hungry. Why didn't you ask them for food or a replicator? That's probably a good option for you, and that'll keep you going. What are you asking for Latinum for?
Okay. I almost don't want to bring this up now, but later on in the episode, we find out that there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
This is the problem when I think because it sounds cool.
Yeah.
You create a character who's 400 years old, who's been in Starfleet probably an appreciable amount of that time because she only left Starfleet in the last 15 years. So she was probably in Starfleet for a heck of a long time. Why doesn't she see or even have the suspicion of because at some point she goes, "Oh, something's not right.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, well, but she has 400 years of experience, John. Why do you write her as if she only became a captain last week?
I'll tell you why. It's because she's arrogant. And in this episode, and we'll get to it, she gets called out on it because Braka calls her out on it and basically says, I'm paraphrasing, we'll get to it, but he basically says, my problem with you is you think you're better than me. And he's 100% right. Right from the first episode, she thinks she's better than everybody else. And she thinks her Federation way of life is the life for everybody. But we get an example again in this episode, where Braka is basically saying that he's talking to the Admiral, and I'm going to do a segment at the end about the Admiral because, quite frankly, with this episode, he should be relieved of duty without a doubt.
All right.
But he's when they're talking to Braka, the Admiral actually says, he says, you've built up a significant smuggling operation in the Tatari system. We understand your operation is the only way some populations are able to obtain certain necessities in that sector. So again, we've had just like in the pilot episode, supply and demand. We know he's a pirate, but technically he's in the right because the Federation aren't helping these systems. Braka is, yes, he wants something in return from it, but he's providing a service in exchange for payment in whatever form that is. So again, the Federation in this series come across, and it was the same in Discovery, they come across so arrogant and so dogmatic about their belief system is the only way. And again, that's probably a real life coming into the show.
And you're exactly right. I'll be interested to see what you have to say about the Admiral, because you have to think that in that initial discussion with Noose, whether it was whether it's Picard or Cisco or Janeway, they wouldn't tip off like he did how he feels about them. He goes, oh well, if I had my way, I'd be throwing you. It's like, why are you already? I mean, you know what I mean? Why are you like tipping, letting him know that, he can already get to you, instead of, trying to settle for the momentary satisfaction of throwing an insult his way.
Exactly. I mean, I will say, mate, the guy here who played the Vulcan, I will give him credit because I thought he was very good in this episode. And away from the annoying Romulan, and I will get to that. I've got something to say about that.
Before we skip off this, though, what did you think about? I know that we both picked up right away. Okay, this is the Reavers, but let's take a second to. I'm really curious. What did you think about the realization beyond that, beyond the inspiration part? What did you think about the realization of those characters here with the effects of like the out of time sync or whatever they were doing? How did you think about how they were on screen?
I mean, that looked good. I thought the voice was menacing. It was a little bit annoying after a while, but I thought the effect looked good. Again, and this goes all the way back to the beginning of Discovery. I've never had a problem with the effects and the visual effects work that is done on these shows. They look great, but it's just the writing and the acting that I've got a problem with, and the propaganda that they spew into it. The effects are very, very good. I mean, again, this guy, I think without the childish, jokey Romulan there, I think he did excel in this episode, and I think he was the real true character in this because he took the lead when the others didn't. He stepped up and he kept them straight. He at one point he tells Caleb to keep calm. And again, that's an example of where I've said before, the commandant of the War Office should be running the Academy, because there's a comment that said later on by the Betazoid girl that makes you think, this is why this guy should be running it.
And doesn't it show you also, John, that because I think your point about the Vulcan can extend to a lot of the other characters, which shows that in a lot of instances, not all, but in most instances, you have a decent raw material there to work with, as long as you have the writing that can do something decent with these characters, 100%. As was shown here with like the Vulcan and some of the others.
Yep, I totally agree with you, mate. And again, this is what I find strange with some of these writers is they clearly, when they want to, they could write good stuff, but they just have too many bad points throughout the series so far. But I mean, they say as well, again, this is I'm going to talk to you about the Admiral now quickly. When they're being held hostages and they're talking to Braka, okay, they talk about the fact that the Admiral says, Braka's basically said he wants the Federation to stop supplying dilithium to those systems because he's got an unstable wormhole that he's been using for years for people to travel through. But now that they can warp, they don't need to use it. So it's costing him. Now, the Admiral goes, I'll take it to the president of the Federation. And later it comes back, the Federation of president has authorized it. Now, I'm sorry, but a president would not authorize to stop supplying dilithium to a system that affects billions of people for 6 cadets, 5 or 6 cadets.
We've only got 55 minutes in the episode, John.
Yeah, those cadets are dead. Those cadets are dead. They are never coming back from it. You know it, and I know it.
I thought that the well, okay, let me ask you, in the scene where, because you've mentioned a couple of times now that the first confrontation scene where the Admiral's there part of the time and he goes, and then we have the rest of the time the one-on-one with
Captain Nahla,
Captain Holly, and Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Now I know that later on they have some kind of line with Holly Hunter tells the Admiral, "Oh, I knew if I kept him talking, he'd."
Yeah.
But to me, that doesn't make up for the fact that in that scene, both acting wise and energy wise, he owned her in that in that scene. And one line 10 minutes later about, I wanted him to keep talking, from the whole sit down until I tell you to get up. Yeah. And then he rakes her and the Federation over the coals. The disparity, we didn't really get so much of a height disparity this time, although
Giamatti out
yeah, but it just, she's in all of the one-on-one scenes, whether it's like this, just the standing right next to him, or in a scene like this, please disagree if you want to, but she doesn't, there's no energy or
no, it's very
momentum to what she's doing.
Well, also to add into that, basically what infuriates me with this scene is the Admiral is basically talking to Braka, and then he looks to Nahla for permission to go to the president, and she nods. You're an admiral, she's a captain.
Right.
You've appointed her to run the academy. Why are you asking her for a permission?
I think they have to do that to validate her character, exactly. And B, because otherwise she would be, look at this shot.
Yes.
You can't even tell she's there unless you actually squint and see her behind all the bottles.
Yep.
So that's a real metaphor for what's going on here. The confrontation is between these two guys, and they have to acknowledge her or have the camera go to a quick reaction shot from her from time to time, because other than that, she's a non-presence in this scene.
You're absolutely right. And when you get to this later scene, I think this is the one you're referring to, this is her pushing him. And I just thought this was so pathetic and false.
In light of what we've okay, let me ask you, because I'm not sure. In light of what we find out later is going on, does this scene make sense? Does that him allowing her to push and then back up and go, all right.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct on that, because he's playing, he's 2 steps ahead of her.
Yeah, he's playing her the whole time.
And this is why I like that this happened in this episode, because let's get to that now. she basically goes and speaks to the Admiral, and she goes, "Oh, I've figured it out. I know what he wants. He's afraid of these Furies, so he needs our help to deal with it." So she goes in there and she's cockily walking around the table and basically starts pushing him. Tell us what you want. Tell us, how to stop them. And then again, she falls hook, line, and sinker into it. And as a result of it, he plays her, and a cadet gets killed. One of them's injured as a result of it. And I'm glad they actually finished the episode where she's realizing actions have consequences, because throughout this series already, we've talked about it. We talked about it on previous episodes where she's doing a stupid thing, like the episode where, like, I think it was last week, where she goes and lies down on his sofa in the turbo shaft, and she scooches her head up to him, and he's called her out and basically going, "You quit Starfleet." And she doesn't explain the situation or correct, make him apologize for being wrong. He is right, but she basically goes, "You shouldn't assume." And it's like, well, then tell me the truth then. Now she's getting the consequences of her actions. And uh, if I would only hope, and I don't think we're going to get it, because I think next week we're going to be straight back to slapstick, silly Academy. I think they'll just sweep over this episode. But if they were good writers, they would actually keep this on board and have her actually evaluating what she's done and correcting her attitude.
You're probably right. I don't really see how they can, because I mean, she was basically, he wiped the floor with her.
Yeah.
This episode. And even in something like this, it just seems, I didn't buy her when she was pushing him around and he was letting her. And again, he could say, well, he's letting her because he needs to maneuver into a false sense of, complacency, that she has she thinks she has him over a barrel when she doesn't. And he's kind of maneuvered her into thinking that. I just don't even buy a scene like this. It almost feels like, okay, it's a character that's like punching up. She's constantly having to punch up. And so I just don't buy these displays of, I mean, this is not Jean-Luc Picard going, the line must be drawn here.
Not at all.
This is
night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, this is her trying to, I don't know, I guess, like, exert her authority by, I don't know why a couple of shoves for this guy would all of a sudden make him knuckle under, but
again, this is a captain who basically was telling cadets not 2 or 3 episodes ago that you defeat your enemies with empathy. And yet in this episode here, she is pushing the guy. So that's not empathy. And again, I've said before, he is 100% right on what he is doing for supply and demand as a pirate. Mm-hmm. What I would also say about Captain Nahla again in this is when she's with the Admiral and they're deciding, and the Commandant, and they're deciding to contact Braka, and they're asking her what her thoughts are. And she says, the enemy of our enemy, the Admiral says, the enemy of our enemy. And Nahla interrupts and says, is usually another enemy. This one's an asshole, right? So she says that. And then we then get that shot that we showed about, the cadet who gets taken to sickbay because the body's been shown floating in space. And at that point, she then goes, okay, contact Braka. Now that's a good 10 or 15 minutes after the initial. So she hasn't acted in that time period. The Admiral should have been making the call early on and saying, right, no, we're going to get Braka in. We need to do something about this. He's the only person who's got intel on the Furies, not furries, Furies.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's a lot of times where the Admiral should just be making a summary decision about what to do, because it doesn't make sense that, I mean, I know from like a drama point of view that you got to kind of defer to Holly Hunter because she's the nominal star of the show, but it does make logical sense, as you said, that he doesn't say, okay, you know what, I'm going to conflict Starfleet Command, because then that would just serve to make her look weaker.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm going to bring you also as well, there's a wonderful moment with Caleb where he has a really clever idea, and he basically says, wait, I've got an idea. And he just sits in the captain's chair on the ship and goes, computer, And he goes, no, it didn't work. Well, that's a great idea, isn't it? Absolutely top drawer, Caleb, sitting on the bridge chair, command chair, and saying computer.
All right. Can we take a couple of seconds to talk about the way people interact with computers in this episode?
Yeah.
First of all, the one thing that I went, wait, what? Is when the computer said something and then Captain Hawley thanked the computer.
Yeah.
So I was actually started thinking, was there ever a time in Next Gen where the computer provided some bit of information and data went, thank you, computer? No, because it's stupid.
It's crazy.
Why are you thanking something that's just there to give you information? You acknowledge. Why couldn't she just say like, oh, acknowledge, something like that?
Yeah.
That would have been fine. You acknowledge the receipt of the information and go on. For her to say thank you, computer, was just cringe to me because it was just so stupid.
The only time I can ever remember of a response like that, and it was played for jokes, was Star Trek 4 when Scotty's talking to the computer, isn't he? Computer.
Yes, and that was a joke. Yes.
Yeah, and it worked.
Now in the computer, why is it that all these cadets seem to think, I want to see like the next time they go to a computer class, lesson 1 is that yelling at a computer will not make it work better or faster.
Yeah.
So Caleb going, do it now, do it now. Caleb, that's not going to help anything.
I would also say as well is, again, Brian mentioned it on one of the previous episode reviews, and he was right. And he said, look, what is powering Sam the hologram? Because again, she's got energy to burn.
Bad writing is what's powering Sam.
Exactly. She puts her fingers inside of the computer system. Mm-hmm. Now, we see her get shot at the end of the episode. Okay. Now, what I don't get about that...
I liked about this episode.
Yeah, you and me both. Now, again, this is what I don't mean about they don't follow their own logic on episodes, because why didn't she just make herself non-corporeal where the phaser will go through her? Because we had the laser tag episode where she did it and she goes, suck it asses, or something like that.
Well, no, her best line so far, I'm permeable, bitches.
Yeah.
Again, she forgot that because she's scared of getting shot this whole time in this episode. I will say to you, mate, we do get an image of at the end. I'm going to bring this up. We do get an image of, in the sick bay, an injured Sam who looks, quite frankly, it's made no difference whatsoever. She's still stupid. I know we're kind of skipping around.
Yeah, we'll come back.
I would have added several points to this episode. Here's how I would rewrite this scene. I'm sitting in the writer's room and somebody says, Gary, take another pass at this scene. Here's how I do it. I would have this doctor or whoever, just go up to the cadets, go, I'm sorry. The alien weaponry just corrupted her program too much. We're gonna have to terminate her program. That's how I would rewrite that scene, John.
Yeah. Where would you like us to send the hair beads? Well, and this scene as well, again, we'll come back to where we were, but because we're talking about Sam, it's relevant to it. One thing I'm not a medical specialist, okay, but you've got a doctor working on Sam who's a hologram, and right next in the bed by the bed next to it is the doctor who is a hologram working on a human being. Wouldn't it be better to switch the doctor to working on Sam, who understands holograms, than just a general doctor working on a hologram?
Yes, but I think neither of them would be qualified. Why wouldn't you get a computer engineer would be the one who I think you'd want working on her?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have a valid point, but switching out one doctor for another, to me, is pointless, because she's not, again, 2 weeks in a row, I have to emphasize this. She's not alive. As much as the writers would like us to think that she is, she's not alive. She is a computer program. So I would
Yep.
think that you would have some kind of a couple of engineers, say, standing there with monitors so you can see that they're trying to monitor the degradation of her program or something. But him with his medical scanner is idiotic.
It's just mad, isn't it? And again, we're jumping back to what we were talking about computer, communicating with computers and integrating with computers. Can I also say to you, when they're being attacked, Sam on the bridge, she basically she goes, "We are your new crew. Do you understand?" And she says it and she goes, "We are your new crew. Do you understand?" And then all of a sudden the ship goes, "New crew accepted." Got it. So next time you're attacking a Federation ship, you don't have security codes. You constantly tell it, "We're not your new crew. We're not your new crew."
Here's my question to this. She has her hand jammed into the thing, right?
And again, spoilers, but that is stolen from Stargate.
We're going to need, you know what? You need to, seriously, by next week, we need like a little whiteboard where like every week you can write down the number of things which are ripped off from other. No, you're right. I agree with you, but we need to keep a tally of it.
Gary, another one for what they've stolen. This is Stargate. We've just done it. Remember we were talking about the force fields on our watch party on Stargate SG-1? Look at that image there. They've copied the exact same style and image for the force field. So yeah, they're just hacks.
But why? Okay, so she's basically interfacing with the computer with her hand jammed in, trying to
rebuilding it.
John, why does she even bother to talk? I know why she has to, because we're human beings who have to hear the dialogue on this television show. Why does she actually have to talk to the computer when basically anything she needs to say to it is being communicated by the interface in her hand, jammed into the thing where 100%. She says, "We're your new crew." She's already told them that through the interface. She doesn't need to verbalize, and the computer does not need to verbalize back to her. It makes no sense.
Can I also make another point as well? When she does get it up so that it's now understanding they are the new crew and it's taking commands, why doesn't she say, right, switch off all life support on every other deck on the ship except the bridge, and jettison, open the port hatches to flush them out into space?
John, next time we go on an away mission, I want to be on your team.
Yeah, we're doing that.
You know the right decisions to make.
Yeah. Well, we'll walk in, they go, "I can't believe it. I can't believe Jon and Gary broke the record of getting the life support up. How did they do it? They talked to the computer." Again, it's just lazy again. That's the problem with it.
So, all right. So since we're still on the ship where they are, so we have the screaming hologram who can't be hurt, who's impermeable, but yet it seems is freaking out more than any of the organics.
Yeah.
I would like to see, John, I do want to see, please let me see this happen before the end of this season. I want to see an away mission that's just Con Badge Girl and Sam. In a deadly situation.
Like a cop buddy scenario.
Yes. I so want to see that.
So good. One wetting herself and the other one hugging a rock.
I know why. Okay, so the three most useless characters in this particular episode, but I know they're part of the main cast, so we've got to see them. I get it.
Yeah.
Blue Boy was useless in this episode other than going to Genesis.
Yeah. Good job. And did you notice that her kind of arrogant, smug eye roll and face turn as if to say, "Oh, please," like a diva?
But that's Oh, you
And
mean
then they
when
did
he
the
gave,
fist bump
he gave
after.
her
Yeah.
credit?
He goes, actually, it was mostly Genesis.
Yeah,
that
and you
did it.
think
And
that
then she
she'd be
did
grateful
She
for
goes,
that.
she
You know, I
goes,
did notice that. On the away mission,
yeah.
Jaden and Kyle,
Oh, mate. Yeah.
absolutely surplus to any requirements. They didn't do.
I'm
Kyle,
sorry,
the only
Gary.
thing Kyle did is get his shot in the leg,
Yeah.
and Jaden's there to do the concerned boyfriend thing. But as far as what they contributed to the solution of anything in that whole sequence, they're absolutely pointless. But I know that you've got to have Jaden. He's one of the main characters, even though he has jack squat to do in this episode.
I'm sorry, Gary, but love is love. Okay. And we've got to accept that they're in love.
Well, John, I love love. You know, just like Sam, I love love. I know you love love
your
too,
t-shirt
John, right?
up, yeah.
John, you love love, right? We both love love.
I love love.
You know, I don't want to just see love sit there and do nothing. You know, now if I John, I was so okay. Let me ask you. Let's take a pause before we get to how the crisis resolved. At this point in the episode, when things were still maybe a quarter hour to the end, right?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? I mean, like when they're being attacked on the bridge and everything, and the Vulcan hadn't gotten killed yet because the Reavers hadn't swarmed onto the bridge yet. Did you have any guesses as to how you thought at that point the whole thing was going to play out?
I suspected that Betazoid girl was going to be the key to it because of the setup at the beginning.
Right.
Because they were clearly they were nodding to the fact that the setup for her powers, which I knew there was going to be a result of that at the end of the episode.
It was going to be like a Dark Phoenix kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen. The other thing I don't understand as well at the end of the episode, they get the drive back online. Now, this is a drive that wiped out an entire crew, but it works perfectly for Caleb and the cadets. But yet they say because that drive is now up and running, it basically shuts down the interference from the Furies ship.
Right.
Which I was
which it didn't do, right? Because they still couldn't beam them off.
And they eventually got them off. But again, I didn't understand that at all.
I thought, well, my interpretation of that is the reason that the singularity drive before killed everybody is because it was a cascading mechanical failures that eventually led to their death. But at this point, all they've done is they want to just turn it on and get out of there. So I think that they wouldn't remain to be subject to the exact type of catastrophe that happened before. But I've got to say, the reason I asked you that question, I thought, like you, it was inevitable that Tarima would help fix everything. I thought for sure that Kyle was going to be the one that died, because otherwise there would be no point in Kyle and Jaden being there. Yeah. Because you'd have Kyle die, you'd have Jaden mourning him and stuff, which might give some kind of justification for having these two useless people on the away mission. I was genuinely surprised that the Vulcan died, because I thought, like you, finally he's becoming a viable character here. So that actually surprised me. I thought for dead cert that Kyle was going to be the one to get it.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, and I'm going to come on to the Vulcan death scene in a second, because there's something I want to raise with you about that, which is quite important to me. You know how I like to pick up on things and go to town on it. Well, I think you're right. I mean, the Vulcan guy was good, but I think the thing is, the rest of it with the crew, I mean, like I say, Jaden, again, I would not be wanting to talk to him again if I was Caleb or any, at that point, because he only gets into combat mode. He starts fighting when his boyfriend is attacked by the Fury right at the end. Mm-hmm. Every other time he's just hiding behind the wall and behind the console.
He was looking for birds.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it only has about 4 lines in the entire episode, I think, as well. But I'm going to bring on here, mate, about the Vulcan death. Okay. So I've taken a screenshot and I picked up on this. Red blood. Okay. So he gets killed, shot through, and they've got red blood. So, and again, when you get to the scene where he's lying on the floor, they've then got out of his mouth green blood dribbling out of his mouth.
Wait, is that red his blood or a reflection of the blast?
That's blood. That's blood.
Okay.
So that's when he's been shot through the chest.
But then you said he has green blood.
Yeah, so when you see him lying on the floor, just out of his mouth is green blood.
I was going to say, if we hadn't seen that green blood at the very end, you could just chalk it up to the burn. Oh, the burn turned all Vulcan's blood red.
But again, there's
the burn is the gift that keeps giving. You can attribute any canon discrepancies to the result of the burn.
The burn burnt the Vulcan's blood red.
Yes.
But again, that's another example of
good spot though.
Yeah, another example of the fact that they do not do any due diligence on their production. Again, it says to me that this whole project was rushed through just to get it out.
Or they think that, not counting on and not anticipating eagle eyes like yours, they say this is going to be so fast nobody will spot it.
Yeah, yeah. And again, mad. It really is. Now, what I was going to say to you as well, mate, about Tamara. Now, she obviously does the mind link. Tamara. Now we get the mind link, we get the payoff, from the beginning of the episode where she's going to save the day. But can I just ask a question, mate? When you need to pass on important information about what's going to happen, do you talk about your feelings with each other? No, you go, this is what you need to do. Yeah. You go,
do they?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is what you need to do right now. Get to it. We'll talk later. The longer we talk about our feelings, the less chance you've got of survival.
It's all about the human connection, John.
Yeah.
It's all about emotions. Yeah. John, you just said 3 minutes ago that you love love.
I love
love.
I
don't know what kind of problem you have with this scene.
Correction. I love love to a certain limit.
Okay.
This is that limit. Now, I've got a question for you, Gary. How on earth has she not fried Caleb and every other cadet on that bridge?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up the image as well, because I took a screenshot of it. This is it. Now, I don't know if you see it properly, but when you're watching the episode, there's a wave that's going across and it's like snapping the necks of all the furries or Furies.
Was it it was decapitating them, right?
Like, yeah, you see the head snap like that and the blood come out. Now, the question I've got for you is, it's a wave that's going across. She's not controlling it. It's like a rage she does. And how on earth are all of the cadets safe from that? They would be dead as well.
Do you want me to be want me to be devil's advocate?
Are you going to do love is love?
No. I'm going to say, okay, if the wave I think the wave only killed the people that were standing or in the air, jumping and flying. Were all the cadets like on the ground? Maybe the wave like only started at a certain height and went like off.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, well, okay, all the cadets, then it's kind of like, during a fire, all the oxygen is near the ground. It could be that if they're all like that. But no, that's valid, because I mean, obviously, if the wave came and enveloped the whole room, then yeah, they would all be. You don't, because at that point you don't select out who's going to be affected by you and who's not. That's why I have to think it's more.
I get your point on that. I just think, how is Caleb still alive then? Because if she's projecting it out of his mind, then surely it would fry his brain as well.
Well, okay. Then I think their out is that the mechanics of what was really happening weren't spelled out, so we can't discount something that would have kept him safe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
What I don't really understand about this scene was that why would she have, unless it was all just, it wasn't really literally what was happening, but it was more a representation of what was happening. Why, as a beta said empath, where basically she's kind of letting her empathic powers fly, why would she need to have it as, because these Reavers were sensitive to like sonics, right?
Yeah.
She's a Beta Z. Why now is she like Banshee in the X-Men with this sonic scream? Not that, I mean, if they would have set it up, I would have been, okay, that's fine. But on the one hand, they set it up as a blast of her out of control empathic powers. But see here, she basically has to be physically screaming because we've already been told that it's the physical, that's how Noose Braka crippled them before with the sonic blast. So basically she's using a sonic blast. I go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
She's a Betazoid. How do I fit
it's like an
square peg in the round hole of a Beta Z with a sonic blast?
Well, this is what I don't understand. They've altered Betazoids because, you know, I've told you before, we did it in the previous episode. We talked about in the second episode the Betazoids from the Next Generation era, and we have the, you know, the Tin Man episode of Next Gen where the Betazoid guy comes on as the advisor and he can't turn it off. So essentially, he can hear everybody on the ship at exactly the same time, which is driving him insane. So you can do that, but there's no record of there being any sort of psychic powers. It's all about just reading people's minds. So they've altered the Betazoids now to, like you said, it's like a Banshee from X-Men now.
I think they tried to cover themselves by saying, oh, she's special, or she's not special that way, but I mean, she's unique. She's
the one.
And so I think that they're trying to, they realize that, and I think they try to cover themselves by saying, okay, she's unique. This is not what Betazoids do, but it's just her. She accidentally, crippled her dad, which I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, I thought that was
well back, and I thought, okay, whoever connected those dots, you know, props to you, because that would actually make sense of her guilt. That would actually explain her self-consciousness. That would explain her fear that she would do it again because look what she did to her dad. I actually thought that was very well done.
Oh, I agree. I thought that was well done. I still don't understand why they're using sign language in that episode when he's got a device that actually speaks what he wants to, you know, it says what he wants to say. I just don't understand why you would need sign language at that point. But okay,
and since we're still, my last thought on the Betazoids is actually that was my favorite line of the episode.
Yeah,
is where her brother utters the classic line, "We're Betazoid, we sense stuff."
just
okay. Yeah, I already knew that.
Oh, it's terrible.
I thought, boy, if there's one line that they have to insert every line for people who's never seen any Star Trek ever, that was the line for this episode. Was that?
Yeah, and again, we're going to get to the end of the episode before I actually talk about the Admiral as well, and my points on the Admiral and why I think he should be dismissed from duty. Yes. And again, keep watching, everybody, because we're going to read out some comments from last week's video that people put up, which were great. So I'm just going to read them out to you. They'll be on screen, so stick around. But we get the situation where we find out, surprise, surprise, Braka has tricked them, and it's all a ruse, a plan. To basically get access to a Starbase space station J19, which has got classified information there. Okay. and research. Now, I'm going to ask this before I get onto the Admiral and that space station J19, Gary. We get the combat scene, right? I'm going to put the image up now. So we have Braka's ship that turns up, and we've got, look, this starship here, okay, that's come in. So we've got the
Sargasso
that's come in from space stations J19, because apparently they've got.
Was that like the Steely Dan song J19? Yeah. Oh, they should have played that during this, but to change to J19, that would have been great. But go on with your point.
That would have lifted and elevated the episode, quite frankly, mate. So the Sargasso turns up. Now it's got some special weapon that is able to fire a sonic blast, and they say from the deflectors when they turn up to basically kill the Fury on the ship. Now, what I don't understand is we have seen in episodes of Next Gen, and we have seen in Voyager, that you can alter the deflector on the ship to do other things. I mean, Voyager managed to open a portal to get to the species 8472's realm.
Right.
You know, that's 900 to 1,000 years ago.
You can emit a blast from it.
So why do you need this ship? And, you know, I'm going to give you some Captain Nahla.
Are you saying why didn't the Athena basically do what this ship does?
Exactly.
Is that your question?
Exactly. You know, because it's a waste of resources. But also on top of that, I'm going to get into it with the Admiral and tactical deficiencies. But what I find strange here is they make the point in this episode that this Sargasso is a new version of an advanced ship, new ship of the fleet, you know, that's from space station J19. Braka opens fire on it, and even with shields up, automatically, instantly disables it.
Yeah.
Right? You then get a shot of Athena firing about 4 photon torpedoes at Braka's ship. No damage whatsoever. You see him hit the shields, no damage. Are we at a point now where the pirates have got more advanced tech than Starfleet? It makes no sense to me.
The way that all I will say is that, because I'm anxious to hear your points about the Admiral, all I will say is the way that when the Sargasso was hit, it looked to me like it blew up.
Yeah.
Because it was just being assaulted, but then a second later they have the line, "Oh, they're disabled." I thought, wow, that looked like a ship destruction blast to me, but okay. But you're right. Well, I'm obviously they've got to let Paul Giamatti get away so that he can show back up in the finale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly right. And again, with this, we get some more words of wisdom from Captain Nahla. She basically says, and again, it's this exact shot that follows straight after. She goes, "Maximum power to forward shields, evasive maneuvers," and then you get the shot of the ship just stationary.
Okay, your question just brought this up, and I'm not thinking I thought of something super special. You could have an answer for it. His plan: bring the Sargasso here so that basically the J19 is defenseless because that's presumably the only ship protecting it, right?
Yep.
And they can basically loot that space station to their heart's desire, right?
Yep.
But here it's shown that the Reavers, the Furies, the Furies and Giamatti's ship together
planned it
totally with one blast, disable the Sargasso.
Yeah.
If the Sargasso was that vulnerable to the combined power of the Furies and the Braka's ship, why did they have to lure it there? Why not just attack J19 and attack and disable the Sargasso there? It 100%. Wouldn't matter, because whether they can disable the Sargasso there fairly easily or here.
100%. That was on my list. Yeah. That was on my list, which made no sense. Also, the thing I thought of was the Furies didn't even attack the ship. It was only Braka's ship that fired on it, and yet it still took it out instantly.
There you go. So which makes this whole diversionary tactic pointless.
And also my point on this whole diversionary tactic, how did they know that they were going to be there doing this training exercise to spring the trap? You have to know they're going to be there to be able to spring the trap and to put your plan into action. So it's a stretch. The only thing I can think of which wasn't explained is there's a mole within the academy, because otherwise it's like, they even make the point. They make the point that their sensor scans, the Athena did sensor scans, and they turned up just after the Athena, just before the interference went up. So they know. So how did they know that they were going to go there and do that? This
wouldn't
it's
it have been better? Wouldn't it have been better? And this could actually help explain why
Combat skills
Braka went to all this trouble. Well, yeah. That's why she faked the panic attack on the bridge to get down to the med bay, and she's coordinating everything from there. That would have been great, actually. If they would have explained that this area of space disables like communications, that it's all spotty, that would explain maybe why Braka wouldn't go to this brand spanking new space station, because they could have got off a call for help.
Yeah.
And even if they disabled the Sargasso at the space station, they wouldn't have had time to loot it to their leisure and kill everybody, because reinforcements would have been called out from whoever could come right away. Here, if they would have explained that this area of space naturally disables communications so that nobody can be warned when the Sargassos, you get the Sargasso out there, they're just as vulnerable to the, communication blockage as anybody. That would be a better explanation for why attack the Sargasso here, as opposed to just attacking it at J19 where they could get off a call for help, that this disables everybody's communications. If they would have said that, and they could do that in one line at the beginning about describing this area of space, that it plays havoc. It plays, when she's at the beginning, where she's talking all about the description, she says, well, this area of space, the properties of this area of space play havoc with communications. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And that would have explained a lot.
And again, I'm going to come on to it now and talk to you about the Admiral, mate, and about why he should be relieved of duty, because he is tactically inefficient, because he takes the Sargasso that is defending a top secret Starbase J19 that has got sensitive information that is classified, but not just that, he takes the only ship to another area to help save 6 cadets. But then I also asked the question of, well, why, if it's a top secret starbase, why do you have just one ship patrolling it? You should have several ships patrolling it, and then also he makes the point earlier in the episode. He says he has 5 capital ships within a short distance from the Athena to come to their aid. And again, I'm going to say as well, one thing I don't understand is the Furies say in this episode, they say, no starship is to come within 1,000 light years. No Federation starships to come within 1,000 light years. But yet, we've just seen the Sargasso, Sargasso.
Sargasso. Like Sargasso.
Yeah, there's a sea. So the Sargasso is turned up there. Yeah. So they've broken the deal. So by rights, they should be just throwing them all out of the airlock if they could. So that doesn't make sense. But also, we have the bit at the end as well where the Admiral basically says, he says about the president has called for an emergency meeting of the Security Council. Braka is about to become the most wanted man in the quadrant, and no one sleeps until we hunt him down and end him. Weren't you doing that before? He was already high on their list for arrest in the earlier episodes, and yet you're now escalating it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you don't want to parse it out too much, but the line should have been he's now the most, not he's about to become. It's like, but still, that's just parsing words. But yeah, I mean, if there was an analog, and I look forward to asking, Brian, our compatriot on our Stargate cast.
Yeah.
Militarily, if this had happened in any way, kind of like an analog to real human things, where this kind of strategic decision was made, and that was the result, I want to see if Brian would say, yeah, it's not a matter of if he would keep his command, it would be, how fast would he be booted out?
Yeah,
type of thing. 100%. I want to see if he will confirm that.
I also wanted to just drop in as well about why another bit of evidence of, well, we built up quite a bit already this series in this episode, but another bit of evidence in particular of why Captain Nahla is not fit to run the Academy. When she's talking to Braka, she basically says, she goes, and I quote, "Cowards always have multiple agendas because deep down they know their failures." So hang on a minute. So what you're saying is the cadets at the Academy, effectively anyone that you consider a coward then in the Academy is a failure as far as you're concerned, which is not the case at all.
But this was her big failure.
Yeah.
I mean, as a captain in that. Recite that line again, but pause in the first half.
Yeah, so she says, cowards always have multiple agendas.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
That should have told her, okay, there are multiple, I may not realize what it is now, but I know that there's an agenda going on here, and we can't just accede to what it seems like he wants. And then, 100%. So what's the second?
She says, because deep down they know their failures.
Okay, so that tells me that she is more concerned with scoring a point against him personally, like with that insult, than she was in listening to herself. I would have gone, Captain Holly, listen to yourself. You just acknowledged quite rightfully that there's another agenda at play here.
Yeah.
Don't ignore that and forget about it just so you can now then score a couple seconds later an easy pot shot against this guy you don't like. If she'd been more of a tactician and more of a strategist and said, no, I need to figure out what the other strategy that I know is here. I just need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And focus on that instead of just, as he quite rightly said, you think you're so superior to us,
100%. And
so
again,
she got caught up in her own. So you're right.
She's arrogant.
She allowed her arrogance to be the downfall of her in this.
Yeah. And she also says this to him as well, to Braka, mate. She goes, a conversation is a fair exchange of ideas between equals. No, it's not. And I quote from the Cambridge Dictionary, a conversation is a talk between two or more people in which thoughts, feelings, and ideas are expressed, questions are asked and answered, or news and information is exchanged. Yeah. So not anything to do with what Nahla says. So this is someone who's written it, who's got no idea, but it fits their narrative.
You said before that you thought the events of this episode will kind of be forgotten about. I actually hope that's not the case, because kind of what happens in this episode is too huge. And I know we're kind of moving to the wrap up, but I just want to say that really, really quickly, that I thought it was, I don't know who you would pick as the sacrificial lamb. I thought it was a mistake in an episode like this to have both casualties be on the War College side. That was a mistake.
100%.
And the whole thing with Sam, as much as we enjoy dissing that character, quite rightly, for them to just go, oh, she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
We got one other character who's like comatose in critical condition. Another character who's dead. The War College guy died. I thought the fact that basically the Academy Cadets miraculously got out of this without so much as a hangnail, I thought was stupid. I would have, if I'd taken a pass the script in the writer's room, I would have go, no. We've got to have some kind of loss on the Academy side of it.
There's got to be consequences.
All of the casualties be on the war side. That's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that just because we've been hammering on these Academy characters for the last 3 weeks. A story like this demands casualties on both sides. There's got to be loss.
Exactly right.
This is the episode where there should have been some kind of loss on their side.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you go after that, you go through loss and you go through a tragedy like that. It's got size to it. You have to grow as a character, as a person. So then you get the cadets, potentially you can write them that actually being at Starfleet Academy isn't a joke. It isn't one big fun adventure. There are actually serious consequences to us screwing up or something going wrong, and that weighs on them.
Yeah.
They have to deal with that. And then you lean into the fact that that's when you become a great Starfleet officer, because the burden of that responsibility weighs on you, but you still keep going.
Right. And I don't know who it would have been that they could have picked, to be the casualty on the Academy side. I don't know. I just know that there should have been one.
If it was me, I would say that it would have had to be, for me, Jaden.
I was thinking that too, but I wasn't sure because I thought they probably want to do more with that character. But
the commandant, mate, from the War Academy. I mean, again, he should be running the Academy, as I said to you at the beginning, and I've said it all along since we started watching this, because the Betazoid girl, she says to him when she's about to, go into the mind on the ship, she says that the commandant at the Academy taught her to see the task clearly. So and again, he's teaching them the right way. Nahla keeps trying to make him the butt of the jokes and regress him, but he's actually disciplined.
Not after this,
making sure. Yeah, exactly.
And I will say before we conclude that I probably should have said this at the outset to give context for our entire conversation. I actually really, on the whole, liked this episode. I thought by far this
was right. The tone was right.
By far, this is far and away the best one of the first 6.
Yeah.
Because for one simple reason, finally, after half a dozen episodes, there are stakes.
Yeah.
And that alone elevates this episode. I thought the acting, I don't mean like Sam screaming. I don't mean the comm girl, badge girl meltdown, and both of those were just kind of laughable. Everybody else, I thought, rose to it. I think the MVP of this episode far and away was Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
he owned Holly Hunter in this episode. Yeah. And so I think more of this, Paramount and Kurtzman, whoever, this is what we need to be seeing every week, is like this. So it may seem the way Jon and I think we haven't had to reach too much in the last, during this show to point out the obvious logic flaws and sense gaps and everything. But still, taken as a whole, I thought, I enjoyed this episode.
I mean, again, last week is probably not just the worst Star Trek I've ever seen, but it's probably the worst television that I've ever seen in my lifetime. It was awful. And I said to you, it felt like a 45-minute to an hour episode felt like 10 hours to me, because it was just dragging so much.
Yeah.
This one, it didn't offend me. It didn't take me out of it. I was in it. Like you say, there's some Star Trek and some plot hole issues that I've got. I mean, I'll give you one now, Gary, just before we wrap up and give our scores out of 10 and read some comments from last week's video that people kindly posted on the channel. But the Admiral basically says, when he's telling them in Nahla's sweet at the end, and he's basically saying about Station J19. He says, the Admiral says the distress call from Space Station J19 didn't reach headquarters right away. Hang on a minute. You are a hologram walking around through the entire episode, and yet your instant communication in real time with Captain Nahla and the people on the bridge of the Athena. The ship turns up next to the Athena in record time. So how come is it that you cannot have Space Station J19 being able to communicate in record time? I mean, again, it's just lazy. They don't set it up. If, like you said earlier, if they'd said something like there was atmospheric anomalies around J19, quick writing there, done. Explains it. I've got no problem with it, but they don't even do the basics like that. What would you give it out of 10, mate?
Um, 7.5.
Yeah. I'll give it a 6.5, which is respectable for me. I think that there are still issues with it, as we've addressed in this review tonight. But as I said, it didn't offend me. There wasn't anything that was just slapping me in the face this week, which is a good thing.
Considering you and I have come off of runs of 0s and 1s, this is pretty miraculous.
Yeah, this is a win for them. So you did something right, Kurtzman. I'll give you that. Now, what I'm going to do, Gary, as I said, there were some comments from people who've subscribed last week, and we thank you for doing that. Keep doing it, because every week we do a review, we're going to post some of your comments on screen, and we're going to just read them out. So I've got some here. So first of all, I've got Robin Stahlbaum, 1937. He basically says, my question, who reviewed the scripts and said, this is awesome, let's spend tons of money? Yes, that person should be looking for new employment under the new regime, I would say. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for your comment.
They do that at Disney too, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope to see you commenting again. Alex Kluxman Spanky, okay. Basically, he's put a post as well on last week's episode. So said, yeah, I know. It's top draw. So said they should use Starfleet Academy as a way of forcing confessions from criminals. This is worse than waterboarding.
And if they just have to pick one episode, use the Sam one. That'll get instantaneous confessions.
Exactly. And then we've got Celestara 27 about the Dax thing.
Yes.
Don't trill symbiotes, only live 800 years max, so it can't be the same creature. A descendant, sure, but not the same symbiote.
But symbiotes don't have descendants. Basically, that's why if they were descendants, they wouldn't have to have the transfer of consciousness within a certain time period, or else it'll fail, from host to host to host to host.
Well,
so
it's established in that DS9 episode where they go back to the home world, and they're down looking at the guy that's tending to the symbiotes in the water, and you get that electric surge because they're communicating with each other. So they are as symbiotes passing that information on, but they're not reproducing like we would reproduce.
Yeah. But Celestrar, I mean, I admire you're trying to fix the problem for them, but this is just another in the long line of member berries that they're tossed in without making any sense.
100%. So that's that one. And then I've got one that I couldn't put on screen because it was a long one, but I wanted to read it out anyway because it's a good one. It's Mega Gasek, who put a comment up last week. Thanks very much for doing that. He said, did you notice how the men are always the butt of the jokes? They are always laughing at the men, not with them. Some info I found that is very useful. I wish someone could compare the 3 points below. Conflict resolution. When a problem arises, is it usually a female character who provides the solution, while the male characters provide the comic relief or the mistake? brackets, Caleb had the solution to save everyone, but only after he put everyone in danger first.
Yeah.
The bumbling trope, count how many times a male character is corrected by a female peer compared to the other way round. Tone of humor, does the humor stem from a male character's incompetence, clumsiness, or is it shared banter where everyone is on equal footing? What if the roles are reversed? Is it still funny? And then in many modern young adult dramedies, which Starfleet Academy leans into, there is a common trope where male characters are written with more obvious rough edges or social awkwardness to facilitate growth, while female characters are often positioned as the more emotionally grounded or competent foils. There you go. So that is a great comment.
Now that is a great, absolutely, a lot of great points. I would say that my first reaction is that in many ways, this episode is almost kind of a rebuttal to that, because we have, yes, Genesis is up there doing, I think, just as competent work as like, Jadzia Dax would have done, or Uhura or whatever. She's doing the scanning. She knows what to look for. She can do the spotting and everything. So that's fine. But on the other hand, like I said, you have Holly Hunter, who got the floor wiped with her this. And then on this other ship, you have Jaden kind of, coming through. You have the Vulcan finally stepping up, but you have Sam, melting down like a whiner, even with the whole, and then you have the comm badge girl. So I think in this one, there was a really good balance between the females doing competent things, the females doing incredibly idiotic things, and the males stepping up and doing competent things. And as you pointed out, like with the Admiral, doing, so there was a mix. I mean, both genders were well served in this, and both genders were made to look like idiots in this episode for good reason. So I think that great points that were made. I would be interested to see how that commenter, what they thought about this episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Please let us know, because we'd like to read your response next week to what you thought about this one.
Absolutely, and keep them coming, because as I said, we're going to keep doing that every single week. We'll read them out at the end of our review reaction video. So great to have you on board. Thanks for contributing to the channel, it's appreciated. But until next week, that's it from me and Gary. But look after yourselves, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, all. See ya.